Hello, chat. Hello. I'm just refreshing my chat to see who's in on the laptop. I just scratched my leg. We're cooking tonight. Yeah, under the lights, and it's still light outside, which is good. I just noticed. I must just reach out of shot and get my drink, which may or may not be alcoholic. And all my ice has melted. It disappears. Look, disappears. That's why it's out of shot. There you go. Yes, it disappears. So, who's in? Dave K, testing, 1, 2, 4. What about 3? You forgot 3, Dave. It goes 1, 2, 4. Oh yeah, 3, there it is. Chief, hello. Might be, hello. Kim, hello. Is that from last night or is that from tonight, Miles? I'm just having a look. Tom's in. Trevor G. Leanna Lawless. Hello, hello. Oh yeah, Miles. Hello, Miles. I can see you in the list of people. El Marco. Is that a Spanish thing, Miles? I don't know. So, is everyone waiting for the Britain's Got Talent results tonight? I don't know. Anyway, I've got him with me. Here we are. Look, got him.
You're right. Sorry, I was just doing the monitoring thing.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do. So all good.
It's all good. I'm just going to trim my volume slightly because I seem to be a little bit quieter. Can you hear us properly, nicely in chat? That's the question. Is the sound okay for you before we start? And then, we can get it all sorted beforehand. The beauty of going the little pre-show bit, yeah. So easier, yeah. We're going to look at some more of them. Oh, another one of these juices as well.
Yes.
Yes. Which is proving interesting. But it's all good. Leanna loves DK's badger beard. Time to shave, Dave. Dear. Thank you, Hi-Fi. Yes. I would raise my voice. I think I might have given it a bit too much, actually. There you go. It's if I giggle, it'll go up. Thank you, Kim. The sound is okay here, says Kim. We've got about a minute to go before we go live. Yeah. So it's all cracking. And data's going around, I should be charging you by the meg, Gary. For my data usage. It's all happened. DD is silent. There's no silent in DD, is there? Isn't a H in there anywhere, or a silent Y? Dave? No? There's a silent R in Garry.
Yeah, there was.
I just didn't put it in. So, yes. I'm just refreshing chat.
All good.
It's all good, yeah. It's all happening. It's all happening. We are happening in the house type thing. I can see it all going to hell in a handcart. B's in. Hello, B. Hope you're well. And Rob's in, and who else? Gary Dibley's in chat as well. Better watch out for him. He's putting stuff in during the VTs. I make it 9 o'clock, mate.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's have a bit of this and then a bit of that, and then we'll start the show. See you in a minute. Yes, good evening. I just for some reason got an unexplained mouthful of juice there, which was not good. Just as I was going to press the button. Ah, dear me, the joys of live video streaming. Yes, gets you when you really don't want. I'm going to have a drink. That was not good. Oh dear. Ah, that's better. Anyway, there you go. We're live on Vaper Trolls TV and all over the world on YouTube. Yes. And as I said, pre-show, this man is with me.
Good evening. How you
Mr.
doing?
Garry Marco. I'm very well, mate. You?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. It's
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that.
See, that bank holiday always throws me out. It's a bugger, isn't it? It totally throws me for the rest of the week.
Yes, it did feel like Monday today, I have to say.
Yeah.
But there you go. There you go. What can we do? So yes,
Not
good
much.
evening. Good evening to chat. And I hope you are all fine and dandy and ready for the content that we've got for you tonight. Let's go to the shop. Yes. So it is in fact Tuesday the 26th of May 2015. Oh yes. And it's nearly June, which means two things. A, it's nearly June, and B, it's e-cig Expo next month. So that'd be good.
Mm.
Another little event to go to. And we're looking forward to that one. So I think, do you think we should have some titles? What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have some titles.
Probably good.
Yeah, titles.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Yes, good evening and welcome to this week's Vaper Scene with myself and Mr. Garry Dibley, who's over there.
Good evening. You all right?
Yeah, it's not bad. Bank holiday weekend and all that.
Yes.
And yes, just pulling my thoughts together for the week, really. Cracking little show last night with the guys, causing mayhem and mischief in the team talk. Rather enjoyed that. I was actually watching, I just wasn't in chat because I was watching it on my tablet. Yeah, it's much better to watch it full screen as opposed to sitting there with a little one and trying to tap at the same time. So I was in there. And yes, it is my voice on the Healthy Vape ad because that was mentioned. But you can see that later, obviously, during the ad break. Yes. So on tonight's show, let me go to this shot. Yes. On tonight's show, we're going to be looking at a few things. I've got a little story from the Daily Mirror, which has got a little poll with it, which is quite handy. I did tweet it a few days ago. And we've got another juice from Captain's Reserve that we're going to be looking at, that we've been vaping on for the past 6 days, since last Wednesday, really, because we decided last week on this show what we were going to vape on, and we went with cannon fodder, wasn't it, Garry?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It most definitely was, yes. Finger in the map and all that sort of stuff, and that was the one we landed on.
Yes. So we'll be looking at that very shortly. But I'm going to kick off this week. Last week on the BBC, there's a programme called Victoria Derbyshire, and it was around and about on the net, but I pulled it down from the iPlayer, and it has Louise on there and also Lorian, yeah. And it's obviously about e-cigs, obviously, because this is a show about e-cigs. Could be about something else, of course. Yes. Anyway, have a little look and then we'll chat about it after.
Now, there's little evidence to show that using e-cigarettes leads to quitting smoking long term. That's according to new research from the American Thoracic Society, which is urging smokers who wish to quit to consider other alternatives, owing to the potential health consequences of e-cigs, including dry coughs, throat irritations and shortness of breath. Since 2005, the e-cig industry has grown from one manufacturer in China to an estimated £1.8 billion global business with almost 500 brands. Are you an e-cigarette smoker? Do you vape? Has it helped you give up the actual cigarettes? Well, let's talk now to Mark Pawsey, who's a Conservative MP who set up an all-party parliamentary group to look into e-cigarettes. Also to Louise Ross, who is a Stop Smoking Service Manager for an NHS trust, and potentially two e-cigarette users, Andy Morrison and Lorian Jolly. Welcome, all of you. Mark Pawsey, what do we know about e-cigarettes?
Well, good morning, Victoria. Well, we know that they can be a very good way of people switching from tobacco to getting nicotine through a different source. I'm not sure about the report that you've referred to, but the evidence in the UK is that there are many people who have stopped smoking cigarettes and vape. They don't smoke, they vape e-cigarettes, and it's been very beneficial to them.
Louise Ross, what are the benefits of e-cigarettes in your view?
Well, e-cigarettes make us the possibility of people changing from what is a lethal product, i.e. a cigarette, which we know kills 1 in 2 users, to something that is assessed to be 95% safer, at least 95% safer than a cigarette. And certainly in our service, we've heard from many service users that it's really done it for them in a way that nothing else ever did.
But what do you make of this report from the US that there is very little research that e-cigs are effective for stopping smoking long term? Smokers who've switched are not smoking real cigarettes at 1 month, but then that effect no longer observed at 3 months or 6 months.
Well, I understand that the people in that survey weren't actually continuing to use their e-cigarettes afterwards. Now, we would say to people in our service, if you are using a harm reduction product, so that could be a traditional licensed medication or an e-cigarette, don't forget that as soon as you stop, if you haven't prepared yourself for not having nicotine at all, you run the risk of going back to cigarettes. And that's the advice we give to people, that having the extra behavioural support and managing your nicotine need really helps you to stay off burnt cigarettes.
Andy Morrison, having smoked for 40 years, are you vaping right now? Yes, you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been off them for 3.5 years now, actually quite accidentally. So
you tried an e-cig accidentally, and how do you think it's helped you stay off the actual fags?
Oh, I've completely abstained from cigarettes now altogether. It took about 3 or 4 days and I was completely switched.
Do you have any concerns about the fact that there isn't any long-term research into vaping and what effect it has on your respiratory system, for example?
None whatsoever. All I can tell you is the positives. There are no negatives that I have experienced so far, 3.5 years in. So if there are any negatives to come, then they certainly cannot be as bad as smoking. I mean, the studies are telling us that e-cigarettes are at least 95% safer than normal cigarettes. So that's good enough for me.
Lorian, how many times have you tried to give up smoking?
I lost count, to be honest with you. I smoked for 23 years and I pretty much tried most things that were available, from patches and reading self-help books and cold turkey, and absolutely none of them worked for me.
And you weren't able to manage it when you were pregnant, I think, is that right?
Two pregnancies, yeah. I smoked throughout 2 pregnancies and throughout the time I was breastfeeding, and I continued afterwards as well, yeah.
What is it about the e-cigarettes then that appear to have worked with you where other treatments didn't?
Well, I mean, they definitely work. There's no question about that. It's been 2.5 years since I smoked, and I switched my behaviour on the same day that my e-cigarette arrived in the post. What the reason it's worked for me is because I enjoyed smoking, which is almost a cardinal sin. You're not allowed to say you enjoy smoking, but I did. And with the e-cigarette, I can maintain what I enjoyed about smoking, and make it more interesting and refine the things I enjoyed with having nice flavours. I've reduced my nicotine right down, so I wasn't never really about nicotine, but actually the behavioural aspects of smoking, and I've continued doing that, and I've not touched a cigarette for 2.5 years.
Well done. Mark Pawsey, in terms of those flavours, those fruit flavours, candy flavours, some people are worried that that is deliberately to market these things at younger people, at teenagers, at kids. Do you have that genuine worry?
I think there is a concern that the product could be marketed at youngsters. The industry isn't doing that, and it doesn't need to, because what it's doing is it's targeting those people who are smokers, who are wanting to switch to something else. I thought it was very interesting. You had 2 accounts there from users of e-cigarettes who found that the use has been very helpful to them, and a public health professional. Now, I understand why public health would want to be concerned about this, so we want to know some of the longer term effects of using e-cigarettes. But what we've done with forming an all-party group is bringing manufacturers, users and public health together to make certain that the products do have a beneficial use for people that want to get away from the great dangers that exist with tobacco, the tars and the carcinogens that come into the lungs every time somebody inhales on tobacco.
Thank you very much, Mark Pawsey. Thank you. And Louise Ross, many thanks for your time. Andy and Lorianne as well. Thank you. Thanks for coming on the programme. Good luck. Andy Morrison and Lorianne Jolly.
And there you go. Yes, that was last week's Veronica Derbyshire show, and Chief has very kindly shoved the link to that so you can watch it in its entirety into chat for us. Interesting that. It's also interesting the fact that the BBC still using Skype to get people in. So there's no other ways to really, unless you're going to send a camera crew around to people's houses. But interesting nonetheless. What do you say, Gary? You were watching that as it was streaming out.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it was a very positive piece, really, wasn't it? It was very positive. Lorianne obviously is a superstar. Superstar. She really is. And yeah, it was very positive. I think it was the ideal panel in a way, wasn't it? couldn't have got it any better in some aspects of it, could you? It was all very, very positive and nice to see a positive spin for a change. It was very well put together.
Yeah, well, I think the thing, let me just find where my mouse has gone. It's disappeared. There it is. Yes, it was good because all the people that she was talking to were all pro. It may have been more balanced, if you like, if they'd had somebody for the against.
Yeah.
But on the BBC Go, I don't think it was that bad at all.
No. So you wouldn't want someone with a bit of negativity in there with Lauren in the room, though, would you, realistically, and a live BBC show, because that would have been carnage. She would have absolutely caned them.
Yes, well, I do remember the radio show. She was on Jeremy Vine when Jeremy Vine called her Lorianne Jolie. Couldn't get her name right. But yes, she held her own on that show as well, which is very good. It's a great spokesperson for us as a community. And so is Louise, obviously, because she's involved at the front end of this in the Stop Smoking centres in Leicestershire, where she really has been a pilot bearer, if you like, or a torch bearer for the use of e-cigs to help people that want to use them. And I think that's the thing that we all need to remember, isn't it? That things should be out there for people to make a choice, to make an informed decision based on the facts that are there. And there are so many more facts than there were 3 years ago when I started vaping, that's for sure. That's 4 years in February for me. And a lot of people in chat have been longer. And Dave Dawn, of course, 6+ years. So it's encouraging. Yes, very encouraging. Final thing on that before we move on?
Yeah, like I say, it was just, I can't find anything bad to say about it, to be honest with you. I don't think any, could have been any better, could it really? Like I say, a bit of negativity thrown in there, but they would have just been hammered,
Yes. And DJ Reptile, you are a very naughty man. I'm not going to repeat what you just put into chat. But I dare say, if you tweeted that to Lorianne, you might get something back that you didn't particularly like.
Yes.
But there you go. Let's move on to our next little story. We've got a little bit here from the Mirror. 500,000 smokers have switched to e-cigarettes from tobacco, they say. And we're just going to go through this very briefly. And can Chief post the link into chat for me? Thank you very much. Yes, nearly 500,000 people have switched smoking tobacco for e-cigarettes in the last year as they're trying to kick the habit, research shows. Ash said there are now 2.6 million vapers in Britain, up from 2.1 million in 2014, with nearly all of the increase attributable to the rise to the number of ex-smokers using electronic cigarettes. The campaign group said the figures showed the value of e-cigarettes in helping smokers give up tobacco, but also warned of worrying increase in people falsely believing they are as harmful as even more dangerous, with nearly a quarter, 22%, believing this compared to 15% last year. Ash said analysis by researchers at King's College London shows electronic cigarette use increased amongst ex-smokers from 4.5% in 2014 to 6.7% in 2015, but remained the same among current smokers at 17.6%. Vaping remains extremely rare amongst people who have never smoked, with just 0.2% of users falling into this category over the last 3 years. Now, there is more to this story. We won't go through every single slide. You can look at that link and check it out, as it were. But at the end of the piece, there was this poll, and the poll was, do you smoke? I do indeed. I smoke and vape. I vape, or neither. And this is what the position was a few days ago. 22% said they smoked, 32% said they vaped, 10% said they did both, and 36% said they did neither. And this was the position at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. 19% smoked, 9% did both, 40% vaped, and 32% did neither. How many people were involved? How many people have pressed the buttons? I do not know. When this story came into our little news chat that we have on Skype, I had a look and I tweeted it around, and I did get some replies back saying that they'd done the poll. But how many people were actually done it, I don't know. What do you think about that, Mr. Dibbs?
Yeah, for me, the one that stood out there was the bit about saying that the people that hadn't used or smoked at all, the percentage that would actually then pick up an e-cig, and that was an interesting one for me, because surely that is like candy flavours a little bit earlier, think of the children. Yeah. Surely a percentage of a large percentage of that is going to be underage young people rather than adults. You could use that argument, I suppose, couldn't you? Yeah,
but then you could use the same argument for drinking.
Exactly.
How many minors under the age of 18 regularly consume alcohol? Whether that is purchased for them by somebody over the age of 18, or whether they're drinking it at home, or whether they look older. I mean, for goodness sake, when I was 12, I was 6 foot tall. I was 12 stone, and I looked like I was like 20. So I could pretty much get what I wanted. So I know from that experience that I discovered beer at quite an early age. However, the same could be said for anything that is regulated. How many young kids are driving around in stolen cars, yet they haven't got a license? You could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about different things, and it all boils down to the same thing. If it's banned, they will do it.
Yeah.
End of story. And they're more likely to nick a fag out of their parents' fag packet than they are to borrow their credit card and buy some stuff online, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You're on screen. I thought I'd tell you. Yeah.
I was going to say I could probably, you mentioned underage drinking. I could probably pop it to a couple of houses down and count how many are in the garden, because I think they've all just left school and they're out there having the right old bash up. I don't know if you. So there's quite a few 2 doors down tonight that are partaking in that very thing at 16.
Well, there you go.
I'm going round afterwards.
It happens, doesn't it?
For a beer with the father.
Oh dear. Yes, it's one of those things. It can happen in just about every single thing. Let's go to the first set of ads, and when we come back, we're going to talk about other stuff. Yeah, see you in 2.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape. UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Often imitated, award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Yes, we are back in the room. Hello. Yes, Gary and I were just debating amongst us which bits we were going to do next and which bits we're going to do in part 3. So we're going to go into the little juicy thing that we did last week. So remember last week we had these juices that we picked up at Vape Jam, and we looked at monkey business last week, which was that one, yeah. And we both kind of liked it. Yeah, in fact, I finished the entire bottle of it. It was very tasty, I must say. And the difference was that Gary's are all zero nic, whereas mine are 18 milligram. And that led me to a little thing, because Dave was also mentioning on last night's show, Dave Kitson that is, that he had a load of zero nic that was in a bag in the corner because it's no good to him. And I have some 4 and some 6, which is a little bit low for me. I tend to go to about 12, even when sub-ohming. So in the third part, I've done a little VT of how to mix different strength liquids to get the desired effect, if you like. So we'll have that in part 3, but we're going to have this next.
Well, show me timbers and splice that main brace. It be juicy, juicy. And let's see what's in their treasure chest this week. Ha 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 ha.
Yes, my little Josie sting for these juices. And we decided last week we were going to look at cannon fodder. Yes. So I'm going to go over to Gary because he's currently vaping on it. So Gary,
Yeah.
tell me about it. Are you enjoying it? What you're getting out of it? And I will tell you what it's supposed to taste like afterwards because I already know.
Yeah, I had to read it. It's, as you know, monkey business. I really liked that one last week. This one I've been using it on the same setup, and to start with, I wasn't getting much of anything but I don't know, best way to describe it. For me, there were no defined tones, if you get me. It was a flavour. This sounds wrong, doesn't it? But in certain juices, you can pick out certain, or for me personally, like the other one, I could pick out the mouthful of nuts and pick out the individual elements. This one, although not unpleasant, to me, it's not as defined and as broken down as the other one was. I could sort of see it when I read the description. I could sort of get the some fruity tones, but to me it was a whether it's designed like that, it was a full one-hit flavour for me, and unfortunately it's not one that sort of would float my boat. I could vape it, but it would be it wouldn't be a keep going back to me, if you know what I mean. It would just be a I don't want to be too cruel, but if it was there and I had nothing else and was waiting for something, I would use it, if you know what I mean. I don't know whether the nick, it can't be, because I'm still getting, and as I was saying last week, I found it quite incredible that I've been vaping these with zero nick completely, and I haven't really noticed much of a difference, to be honest. But I mean, most of the stuff that I've got now is 4 to 6 milligram anyway on the sub-ohm stuff.
Yeah.
But zero, I've not really. I suppose because I'm mixing it up all the time anyway, so it's not as if I'm not getting any nick. I might turn into Mr. Groucho if I just vape that non-stop for a week. But that's it. It was a for me a flavour rather than defined tones that I was getting in the other one. Unfortunately, not for me.
Yeah, interesting. Now, last week I had it in the RDA, and I was temperature controlling it. And this week I've just got it on a 1.3 coil at 13 watts. No temperature control, because this is the stock coil on the sub tank, and I'm halfway through the tank. I'm getting some flavours, but I, like you, I'm not able to pick out exactly what each one is. I find it quite pleasant, I have to say. It's not unpleasant by any standards, but it's just different. I think we were spoiled. I think we've probably picked the best one, I don't know, last week, because you could really pick out the banana and the nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll tell you what it's supposed to be. This is I'm just trying to read it now. There we go. Various fruits which mingle a thick, creamy cheesecake base. Now, I'm certainly getting lots of fruit. And maybe if I had it on the temperature control coil, and I could dial it in a bit more, I'd get more of that. But having it on just a stock coil, I'm not getting differences. I'm getting kind of a smoothie, if you like. It's almost like a smoothie, which, like I said, is not unpleasant at all. I've been happily vaping away, but of course it's 18. So I've not been doing as many long hits on the 18, not tonight anyway, because I'd be like that otherwise. With the studio lights and everything on top, it would be a bit grim. But yes, interesting nonetheless, I think. And I've just seen you exhale another huge plume there. I shall come back to you.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's not unpleasant. It's just not one personally for me. Whereas the other one was that was bang on. That was good. I liked having a mouthful of nuts for once. Yeah, that one's just personally not for me. Its taste is, like we were saying, subjective. And you were getting different things last week out of the monkey business than I was. It's not a bad juice, but just personally not for me.
Well, it's kind of a hit and a miss at the same time.
Yeah.
But like we always say, what we say about juices is very subjective. one man's meat is another man's poison, as they say, as the saying goes. So it may give different things to different people. So it's always worth giving it a blast, is what I say, and then seeing if you like it yourself. Especially if someone's got it next to you, you can just have a little bit of a toke on theirs and see. Let's go on to the little bit of VT I did, which is about mixing up the nick. When I find it, I've put it somewhere, there it is. This might help you. You may already know how to do this yourself, and if you do, I apologise. But for those people who might need a little bit of help in working it out, this will be one for you. As I've just mentioned in the studio, I've got quite a lot of juices when we were at Vape Jam. And when I bought my second RDNA 40, Vaper Shark gave me a bag with a load of juices in. And these are either 4 or 6 milligram juices. And it's a little bit on the weak side for me. I have been already using this one, which is a candy cane menthol, which is actually quite nice. It's only 4 milligram, but the taste is quite nice and the flavouring is quite high. Found a lot of the American juices to be quite highly flavoured, which I quite like. I do like a highly flavoured juice, and I know that some of our American cousins say that our juice is a bit weak in flavour. Obviously different palates and horses for courses and all that kind of thing. But I did find that the candy cane menthol was quite highly flavoured, which again, I quite like. So what I thought I'd do is mix this up a little bit, change it about a little bit. I have already done some little nick increases. I used this one, which is from Swoke. They're based in France, and they were at Vape Jam, and if you were there, they were the guys in the kind of inflatable igloo type thing. And these come in glass, all with colour-coded drippers and childproof caps. Now this was a 3 milligram juice. This is now an 18 because I've already changed this one. But there's also a juice called Bikini and another one called Bisou. Or was it Bijou? Bisou, yeah. These are available from e-cig Wizard now. I know Benny's carrying these at e-cig Wizard. And I was rather impressed with all 3 of these when I actually vaped them at Vape Jam. So I've increased the nicotine strength of the Smiley, which is a kind of a citrusy vape. I've increased the nick strength of that using this method. And this is the other one, the Vaper Shark, and it's the peanut butter cup. Now it says there is 30 mils in the bottle, and I've not even opened the bottle yet. But I have heard from my esteemed colleagues that this juice is rather nice, if not a tad over flavoured. So what I'm about to do isn't going to make that much difference, I don't think. So again, childproof caps. I know we had that conversation about childproof caps. And I do like, God, I can smell it already. I've just taken the top off and I can smell it. I like the fact that it's got a nice thin tip as opposed to a big chunky one. And that smells really nice, I have to say. So I'm just going to take this top off. And I've cut my nails, so now difficulty getting stuff out. There we go. Yeah, well, you can really smell the peanut butter on that one. And I'm going to adulterate this with some 75 milligram nicotine. And I know that's a little bit yellow. It's gone a little bit oxidized because I've had it a while now. I do need to purchase some more nicotine in smaller bottles and keep it in the freezer. So I've got my little measuring cup here. And I just want to make sure that there is 30 in here because that does make a difference. So I'm just going to pour it all into my little measuring cup. And there is indeed exactly 30 mils. And it does smell very nice. So if you look at the slide that I'm about to put up for you, let me just zoom out a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put a slide down here, and this is going to tell you what I'm actually going to be doing now. This is 30 mils, 4 milligram strength liquid, and what I'm going to add to this is 4 mils of 75 milligram liquid. Now, the way you work it out is nicotine strength multiplied by the milliliters gives you a total. And you need to do that for both things. So there's 30 mils of 4 milligram here, which is a total of 120 of nicotine. And there's 4 mils of 75, which is a total of 300. Add those together, you get 420, and you divide by the total milliliters, which is 34, and that gives you an approximate nicotine strength of 12.35. Yes, it's all down here, down there. Down there somewhere. So I'm going to squirt that in. There you go. That is now squirted in, and I'm just going to mix it around using the syringe, which is clean, by the way. I always make sure all my equipment has been thoroughly cleaned and usually dried as well before I mix anything. And yes, there we go. So now I've got 34 mils of 12.35 milligram juice. I'm going to pour that back in a bottle and we'll see how much we get back in. There should be space for all of it because it was a yeah, there we go. I did think so. I just wanted to make sure by emptying it all out into this mixing cup first, just to make sure A, that there was 30 mils there, because the calculations need to be relatively precise, and B, it's easy to mix. So there you go. I've now got a bottle with 34 milliliters in it, and it has got a strength of 12 milligrams, 12.3 milligram. I know that's 12. However, anyone else wouldn't know. So I'm going to write on there that it is now 12 milligrams. And that is basically how you can change the strength of two liquids. You can mix two liquids of different strengths together and get a desired effect. It may be that you have two different flavors. You know, using the bottles I've got in front of me, you may have some of this and some of this, and you want to try and see what they taste like together, but they're of different strengths. So you want to make sure that it's going to be at a strength that you're going to vape at. So you can use exactly the same method, just putting in the two different juices, how much you're going to mix of each, and the nicotine strength, and that calculation will give you what the nicotine strength is going to be after you've mixed them. Yes. So, any questions, ask them in chat, and we'll go back to the studio. Yeah, there you go. That's how I've been mucking about with nic strengths. I do have some other slides here. If you've got some 18 and some 12, for instance, you want to make 15, you can do that. Or if you've got some 24 and 18, you want to make 21, you can do that. It's quite easy, as long as you remember the calculation. I just do it on a spreadsheet because it's a lot easier, and I just type in what I need and it tells me what the outcome is going to be. Let's go to the last set of ads, and there's more when we come back. Yes, see you in 2. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Vapers, Dripper just got 40% bigger. So if you love discovering new e-liquids, tell Dripper what flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of juice and at least 5 flavours. With a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe, dripper.co.uk.
Radio.
What's in this e-cig cloud? Harmless water vapour, right? Pretty much, yes. Compared to a lit cigarette, it's much safer than smoke. But it contains nicotine, and nicotine on its own isn't toxic and doesn't cause cancer. If you're worried about switching to vapour, here are some facts. No tar, no smoke, no burnt tobacco. Cooking your evening meal produces more toxins than are found in exhaled vapour. Tobacco smoke contains toxins at very high levels, and vapour does not. And that vapour contains 6,000 times less carcinogens than cigarette smoke. Electronic cigarette vapour. There's nothing to be frightened of. The only dangerous electronic cigarette is a banned one.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And as Mr. Dibley would say, we're back in the room. In it though, down with the kids and all that. Yes. Now then, during the ads there, Iridian put a post in to do with this, which is a vape meet on the 15th of June, 7:30 until late. It's at Derby, Dalton Road, Barrow in Furness. There's a raffle, giveaways and a cloud competition. Yes, and the links are being put into chat for that. Yes, should be rather fun if you live in the area. And also then just going through the other bit of VT, we're talking about the Vaper Trail TV pens that we will have at the next event. Yes, amongst other things, you'll have to come and see us at e-cig Expo, because we shall be there. Oh, if you're not able to get to e-cig Expo, then you can come along to the NEC in July 9th, 10th and 11th of July, and the e-cig Expo is the 28th of June, if memory serves me correctly. Come and see us. We shall be there in force, doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, don't know what yet. We'll just make it up as we go along. We may even have free sweeties. I don't know. We'll see if anyone can go to the shops. Gary, over to you.
Yes, I was going to mention naked modding, but I won't.
No,
no, I just did though. Yeah, it's good. I mean, we're gonna probably crack on with the my venture, aren't we? Which is going to make me need a beard of some sort.
Yes, your venture. Did you get the package I sent you, by the way?
I did. Yes, it features a little bit later on. So the thing is I'm assuming those are for the big boys, aren't they? For the super duper screeny one.
Those sleds. You'll have to ask them that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they were, because when I offered up we're talking about a DNA 40. Finally took the plunge and grabbed one. And Matt very kindly. I don't know where they are, but they are here. So they're up here. You'll see it on the screen a little bit later. It come, I think, just as I'd started filming the second part to this, so that shows on the film. But yes, it was a. You'll have to see how it goes, but I was ever so slightly apprehensive of this build. If you have ever watched any of my past experiences with DNAs, they've been screen removing experiences. That's all I'm going to say. So one was being extremely cautious on this particular build. Yeah, and I got another one. I plan another one, another DNA 40 with hopefully a bit of custom wood using Matt's sled for the big boy.
Yes. So in a few seconds we shall have that bit of ET. And I'm just saying, not spiritus, whip it up. Yes, it's the 27th of June for e-cig Expo for the public. The 28th is the trade day. So it's a Saturday, it's free. You just need to make sure that you go to the link that's in chat, and it'll be on the YouTube page as well. You need to pre-register. I did say this a couple of weeks ago. If you are going to go, you need to pre-register first. It's still free, but you need to pre-register first. Okay, let's go to Gary's little bit of VT on the DNA 40. See you in a few.
And we are back in the room for another week, and I'm going to be starting something I mentioned a little bit earlier, or last week basically. I am going to have to grow a beard or cut parts of my other hair off and glue to my face, because this week I've had vape mail, and I've got some of the Kangatech OCC NI 200 coils, a little charging circuit here from Cloud9, and a DNA 40 temperature-ish controlled chippy thing. This thing scares the crap out of me, and I don't know why, but they do. They are so fiddly, so finicky, and so annoying. I didn't go for the big screen, and there's very good reason for that, because what I'm going to be doing is attempting. Now, this effectively could be a two-fold mod. I don't know how the hell it's going to work out, because every time I've done one of these on screen, it's gone absolutely wonky. It seems to be that that Evolve, not that they hate me, but every time I've touched one on screen, it's gone wonky, and I'm going to tempt fate one more time, and then I shall leave DNA modding alone completely. I could have gone with the big screeny thing with the clip off, but I didn't. I don't know why. Should have done. Well, I'm going to put it in. I've got and this is a fake one. It's not a good one. I've put a Fat Daddy on the top. Excuse my hands, they're covered in stuff today. I'm recording this very late on. This had a Roby DNA 30 chip inside, and this has really performed faultlessly since Vape Fest last year. What I intend to do, because I love the case, I love the style of the case, and I love the durability of it, I'm going to be transplanting the chip out of here, if it comes out in one piece, and because the soup, you'll see the hot glue in there, and put in a DNA 40 in here. I started a long time ago this wood box. Now, I've put much love, effort, and all sorts into this wood box, and what I intend to do is on to the side DNA 30 it, if I can get this out of here in one sort of piece, and that's the aim, really. That is the aim. I've got my little token screwdriver that comes free with most things nowadays, and I'm going to start dissecting this and popping my stuff in my wood box as I go. And this is probably going to be a real mission to get this out in one piece, to be able to use it in something else. I would have thought. It all does come apart relatively easy, as you can see, and you can see down in there how much glue. I've had this open a few times. Now I'm going to have to try, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, to get most of this apart without mullering stuff, but I think it is going to be a case of mullering lots of wires and gradually easing this apart. So it might be a case of cutting back and starting fresh. I think that's what I'm going to do. Need some snips, and I am going to start just dissecting. It's probably a little bit dark, I don't know whether we can see, but I'm going to start dissecting, start taking it apart and keeping screws and stuff. This is the earth from the body. Let's just drop, see that, shit. Let's just drop down inside there and literally start taking this apart. Now I'm hoping that when I start snipping this away, I'm going to keep little bits, and I'm going to keep little bits that are going to be useful, and the rest of it is going to be, because this is all relatively easy to solder again, I want to try and keep the switch wires. I want to try and keep the, I mean, the ETI wire doesn't really make much difference, to be honest with you, because I can solder a new one on there. That was great, wasn't it? And I need to look at how this comes apart and how I can put it all back together again. So the aim is to try and pull out as much of this hot glue and stuff as possible, try and keep the board in a usable format, that I can put it in another mod, and put in a DNA 40 in here. Now hopefully what I might try and do is take this sled out as well if I can, and put a new battery sled in there, because I don't quite like this one. I'm going to pop back in two when I am going to be relatively, hopefully, halfway through taking stuff out, and I'll see where we are. It's probably going to be a complete strip out of this box, because at this moment in time I don't hold much hope in salvaging the board from here because of the amount of hot glue, and if I can find a way around that I will. But I'll pop back into it when we've got a bit further. I'm back in the room and I've been dissecting. I honestly didn't know that this thing had a sled of sorts in there that fixes the screen in place and all of that sort of stuff. Now this very well could end up as useless junk going forwards. I'm going to try and be as bleeding careful as I can with this, because I didn't realise that held the screen in place, and I've tried to ease, I hate these things, up there ever so slightly, easing that out as much as possible. Now this fills me with some sort of hope, because there is a sled, and if I can get that fixed in there and that fixed on there, I'm pretty sure this one could be a success. And I need one of Mr. Matt Garish's stands, mod holders, chip holder things that Marco's got for me, to reinstall that in the box, which is coming very, very shortly. I'm going to put this, which I am still assuming is a working board, to one side with much care and attention, and hopefully, like I say, this could be a two-fold mod. The one thing I've noticed is on here, if you've never seen inside one, there's two scrolls. Now this isn't an original DNA charger, so I've gone for the full package, which I'm going to attach back on here. I have an original Evolve DNA charger, which looks like it's going to fit on there, and is pretty much, it's not identical. The components are very different. And my DNA board, which hopefully will fit through this thing and fix in, and hopefully that should centralize said screen and get it all sort of working down in there. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm rushing, which is the one thing I said I wasn't going to do. I'm sort of hoping if I can file some of this stuff away. It's very hard to get this out with the little switches in situ, so I'm going to try and file some of the casing away, which doesn't, you know, affect the way the board's mounted, to try and do it so I can fix my switches first and then feed the board in. On this particular one, I'm going to probably be feeding the wires at the top, I don't know how it's going to work with the way that the new board works. I need to download and look at the circuit diagram. So it's something, a start, that I've not had much success. I know everybody else has, but for me, for some reason, I've been doomed by the DNA, and I'm really hoping that this one is going to be the working one. And I'm hoping that this is going to become the DNA 30. I've got the same sort of wood that I've clamped together, glued, sanded, this, that and the other, which is going on the other side. I'm going to put a fat daddy in the top, but on the other side I'm going to cut out for the screen on the DNA 30 and make this a little doodle. What's it? So 2 mods for 1. Hopefully. I've been very good recently. No innuendos, as you can tell. So it's just me. I'm trying to be a nice guy. Doesn't work that often. Like I say, I'm going to try and rip this battery sled out and put a new one in, if I can. I think I've got one somewhere. And I'm trying to put in the keystone controller. So I'm hoping to get a keystone in there and get that mounted as well. It just seems a far better battery holder to be putting in. I'm going to hand you back to Marco in the studio, and we'll carry on with this a little bit later next week.
And there we go. You can obviously see from that bit of a clip my level of sheer panic in the voice. But you know, it does all come good. Like, it does all come good, and it was all worthwhile in the end. I was looking in chat, and there were lots of comments about how to get rid of that horrible stuff, which is hot glue. I believe there was some in there for isopropyl. Someone else mentioned something else, but I tended to use, and that's why I give it a good clean out afterwards, a little bit of vinegar. If you put vinegar on, now I know vinegar is watery, and I only use that in the places that I knew I could get away with. Just totally forgot to mention that in that video. But yes, a little dab of vinegar will also break down that hot glue and make it a damn sight easier to get off. I agree with some of the comments in the chat about the DNA 30. It'd be a shame to put that, I don't even know if it works, in the wood. Got another plan for the wood. But I think the next thing I'm going to start looking at is buying the big DNA 50 and DNA 50 or DNA 40, a big DNA 40, and try to do something with that one. So if there's anything in particular you would like to see, let myself know, or Marco, and we'll certainly try and accommodate you.
There you go. Thank you very much, Mr. Dibley. Yes, so very nearly out of time, to be fair. So thank you all for tuning in on this Tuesday to watch our little show. I hope you have enjoyed the footage and the content and talking about pens, still talking about pens in chat, which is good. Get to Harrogate, we'll give you a pen. They're lovely, very nice. Come all the way from wherever they came from, and they write too, which is quite handy. So don't forget, tomorrow night it is Dave Dawn with the Haze Hour, and on Thursday it's Matt with the Cave. They've done a little swapperoonie this week, and keep an eye out on our Facebook page and Twitter feeds for next week's shows, and Garry and I will be here for sure on Tuesday. So until then, thank you so much for tuning in. Garry, say goodbye.
Yep, catch you next week.
We'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.